Alright, what's up guys? Last video I explained the entire hockey system. If you didn't see that video, it's at the top of the screen right now. Just go watch that. And this video, I'm going to be ranking all of the hockeys from worst to best. So let's just get started. So the first ability, and the worst hockey ability in all of RELL SEAS, is Sir Lannister. Now as you can see, this only increases your combat damage by 4%, nothing else. So essentially, if you do 100 damage, you're now going to be doing 104 damage, which is nice, but definitely not worth taking up a whole hockey slot for it. Now to save time, the next two entries in D tier are going to be played at the exact same time because they both have the exact same reason. Now, CG Fried and Sir Galahad both essentially do the same thing. They replace the last move in an M1 chain or any other type of chain with a hockey attack. And honestly, this just kind of sucks because it's just a stronger version of the attack. So, unless you're using that specific move, you're not going to get any other benefits from this. And just like Sir Lannister, that is definitely not worth taking up a hockey slot. Alright, now the final entry in D tier might be surprising to some people, but it is a Conqueror ability. Now this is Julius Caesar. Now, on paper it looks good, exert your will to immobilize nearby enemies and reduce everyone's defenses by 15%. However, if you witnessed in the movie when they used this ability, they were walking so slowly. Now, they never actually showed the ability without them walking slow, so the assumption is that they are soft locked to like a walking state until the hockey's turned off. So the only time you'd actually be able to use this is when you're surrounded by enemies and you can just put out a short burst. But if that's the case, you're not going to get the opportunity to use the hockey because you're just going to get jumped anyway. Okay, now we're heading into C tier territory. So the first entry into the C tier is Nuditon. Now, if you read this, it says an indicator appears before the final M1. Attack at the end of effect to utilize skill. It doesn't actually explain what the move does, so I can't accurately rank it. So if any of you actually know what this does, feel free to comment and I'll adjust the ranking accordingly. But yeah, it just says M1 to activate it. Nothing else. Okay, Sir Gawain is pretty straightforward. It increases your posture durability by 20%, so you can take 20% more damage to your block before it breaks. And I think this is pretty useful for PvP, but not useful enough for it to be anything above C tier. Alright, so finally we are heading into B tier, which is where the abilities actually start getting good. And to start us off, we are actually going to have another Conqueror's ability, which is also surprising because all of these are supposed to be top tier abilities for how rare they are. So this one is Napoleon. So reading it, we can see that every time you equip a weapon, your speed is increased for 10 seconds. Now, I'm going off of the assumption here that it only means movement speed and not combat speed, because if it was actually combat speed, this would be an S tier. So if I have made a mistake there, this belongs in S tier, but I believe I'm correct because increased combat speed would definitely be the best ability in the game. And it also doesn't mention anything about cooldowns, so I'm assuming that you can't just equip and de-equip a weapon over and over and over. And the higher the Conqueror hockey stat, the lower the cooldown for the equip. So the next ability is Sigma Frood. Now, my ranking of this ability was like heavily reliant on something that RELL SEAS said a few months ago in sub chat about being able to dodge any attack in the game. So he essentially said you could dodge literally anything if you time it correctly. So if someone threw a Rygo at you, you would be able to time a dodge correctly and evade the Rygo. So using that knowledge, 20% higher dodge frames will allow you to dodge much bigger and stronger attacks for longer, because dodge frames makes you immortal essentially. So that is why this is so high ranked in B tier. Alright, so this next ability is probably one that you're familiar with from other Roblox games. It is basically observation hockey that just lets you see players through obstacles. So it just highlights them, you can see them through walls. This is used in Blocks Fruits, and I also believe it's used in GPO. And I'm assuming if you're waiting for RELL SEAS, you have at least attempted to play one of those games. So yeah, pretty straightforward. It's up here because it's very useful to see during combat. There's a lot of VFX in this game if you've noticed, so you're going to be blind a lot of the time. And having an ability like this will allow you to see people through those obstacles. Okay, so now we're heading into the A tier, and This next ability is basically a better version of Doddy Win. It is called Ein S Tine. So this ability, instead of allowing you to see people through rubble, it allows you to see information about them. So rather than highlighting the enemy, it will show you their HP, stamina, parry bar, evade bar, and also their moveset. So you can basically get inside information on the enemy before you start fighting them, and also know when they are low on stamina, know when they have no parries, know when they have no evades, so you can launch a full combo on them. I think this is very useful for PvP, but it is way less useful if you're fighting friends, because you already know what their moveset is like. And next up in the A tier is Tom Edison. Now, this allows your evade to now be used as a counter instead. So, how you would usually evade an attack, it is now a grab counter. Now, I don't actually know if this combo extends, or is just a combo finisher, but either way, having an evade do damage is a really useful move. Hence why it is an A tier. Now finally, the last haki ability in A tier is Bry O Tarth. Now this changes your block break to, instead of being stunned, it pushes the attacker away. So it basically makes you immune to close range block breaks. You can still get block broken from afar, but if anyone tries it up close, they just get pushed away and you are saved. So that is why this is like one of the best abilities in the game right now. In the game right now, as if the game's already out, but you know what I mean. Yeah, you just push enemies away rather than getting block broken and have a free combo put on you. It's just a really, really OP ability. A really OP defensive ability too, I might add. So that is all for A tier, and now we are finally moving on to the best abilities in the game, the S tier abilities. So, starting off, S tier is a Conqueror's ability called Gang Di Khan. This ability prevents you from being killed, or even gripped, picked up, or even enemies from going anywhere near you while you are knocked. Now this is super good for team fights. If you're by yourself, essentially useless. So, if, for example, say I get knocked and somebody tries to execute me, I will release an aura of Conqueror's Haki to basically prevent people from executing me, picking me up, running with my body, stuff like that. So that time frame of 10 seconds is half the time it takes for me to stand back up. So usually a player would take 20 seconds to get up from being knocked. With Gang Di Khan, it would only take you 10 seconds. And with those spare 10 seconds you get during the Conqueror's Haki wave, your teammates, they can come and rescue you, pick you up, run away with your body, prevent you from getting executed, and stuff like that. So yeah, all in all, a really OP ability. Next up in S tier, we have an observation haki ability called Op-E Heimer. Now, this ability is the good old classic 8 dodge observation haki ability that is in most other One Piece games. So, using this ability, you will be able to dodge any 8 attacks in a row before they regenerate again. So, in the movie, they demonstrate this. However, I also noticed that even if you have dodges left, you cannot dodge the final M1 of an M1 chain. It just doesn't allow you to do that. But either way, this ability is very strong, as it allows you to dodge practically anything. Now this next ability is going back to the Conquerors. This is Xander D. Goat. Now this is basically advanced Conqueror's Haki. It allows you to infuse Conqueror's Will into your attacks. And I don't actually know what this does, but you can tell just by the name that this is going to be a really overpowered ability. It'll probably do something like increase your combat speed, strength, defense, other things like that, because that is what it does in the show. So I have high hopes for this card. I haven't seen it in action yet, but I'm very excited. And finally, the best card in all of RELL SEAS Haki, Go D Zilla. This is basically the Wi-Fi Haki that Shanks used on Green Bull during Wano. It's a long-range Haki blast that disables Zoan forms, stuns fruit users for 10 seconds. It might not even be fruit users. I think it's just normal people. It stuns normal people for 10 seconds and does 1/5 of their HP bar. It's just an insane ability overall. Like, it's also a high range ability too. So I'm going to put a clip of it up on screen right now. You can see what it's like, and you can just tell that's an insane ability. Like, I don't know how I'm beating a guy if he has this and I don't. It's just a perspective at that point. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Like, subscribe, join the Discord, and comment what you want me to cover next. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.